special on the track.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for the fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute and might otherwise be infringing non-profit education. Personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
I gotta ask you, man. I gotta get your opinion, man. Keefe D, they raided his house in connection to Tupac murder. How you feel about that?
Man, I think, to be honest, bro, I feel like nothing's gonna come out of it. You know, it took 30. If they really truly want to solve the Pac murder, they would have done it years ago. So it seemed like I don't know why they doing it now or trying to. Or pretend that they looking for it. You know, I don't know why they doing it now, but it takes me back. You know what I mean? Because it's strange. If they truly wanted to solve the Pac murder, they would have solved it, bro. I don't think nothing gonna come out of it. I could be wrong. We sit back and we'll see. But it's just, it's fishy to me. I don't really think they really, unfortunately, the government, I don't even think they really care about solving the death of Pac, the murder of Pac.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of people that feel like that, man. That feel like they could have been fought Tupac killer if they wanted to.
Exactly. Years ago. And if you're on the radar and, if you're on the radar and words going around that, your house about to be raided, I don't think you're going to have anything inside of it. You're expecting them to come. So I think, we just got to sit back and see. I think, I don't think nothing gonna come out of it, bro, to be honest. And that's why as a person where I'm at now, some of the things we might get past in this life, the ultimate judgment is the next life. You know what I mean? So you can't get past that. So even if they don't find the killer or they don't care to find the killer, the real judgment is in the afterlife.
Right. But I want to backtrack to a comment you just made, man. You said that the government, they didn't want to find who killed Tupac. Why you say that?
I think because we all know that Pac and the government, when it comes to certain individuals, certain politicians, they wasn't seeing eye to eye. You had, in the 90s, the music that Pac was doing, the music that Death Row was releasing, it was pretty much at odds with a lot of the people that was in the government. They was watching, it was being watched, it was being, for example, we found out, I think I seen one of these documentaries and I was surprised that they showed the security guard, Hacky. Hacky was, he was a security working for Death Row. He was Pac's security guard, personal security guard. And I remember watching the documentary and come to find out Hacky was talking, come to find out he was an undercover DEA. So while he pretended to be a security, you had undercover police around from the beginning. So I'm sure if they really wanted to find a killer, they would have found the killer. So when I seen that, I was like, Hacky the DEA? Like he was an undercover officer, but he was pretending to be a security. So you had people, that was involved in Death Row, such as Hacky, who admitted it, and others who was around. Ain't no telling who else was around. So I believe they really wanted to slide. They didn't really care too much about Pac. Pac was everything that he was, the voice for us. He was like a Malcolm X for us as far as what we was going through in our communities. He was our voice. Rap at our particular time in the 90s, we was trying to make our rap music, our lyrics, our own CNN, our own news broadcast. We was trying to give to the people the reality of what we was going through. So in majority of the time, what's happening in the cities of America and the African American and the Black and Latino communities, we not really getting our rights. We speaking out against these things. So that's why you have people like Dolores C. Tucker, and other politicians that was really trying to ban Tupac music. So the government, from the time that I met Pac until the time that he died, he was always in odds with the law enforcement. He was always in odds. He shot 2 off-duty police. Police is like a gang in America. police, we know that like police is like a gang. Not only that, in Los Angeles, they really doing some investigation where they find out that there's cliques within the LAPD. Like they really got gangs, like it's crazy. So Pac shot 2 off-duty police. The police is like a gang, national, in the whole USA. So if you upset, you know, you do something against they so-called brothers in blue, and whether it's in Atlanta, you on the radar of all the police across America. They didn't really like Pac because of that. So therefore, when Pac died, you think they really cared about solving his murder? It was like, to them, he was like, okay, we got rid of him. He shot 2 off-duty police. He always spoke about us in his records. They didn't really care about him.
Peace and black power. Peace and black power. This is Underground Warrior TV. I'm back, banging on that beast like I always know how. You feel me? Come in, subscribe to my channel, like the video. Oh yeah, I'ma stand on what I stand on. In my research, always come back to the conclusion that the American FBI, the American establishment, the American government is the one who put the hit on Tupac the Shakur. They always use the boule, the Negro. They always use us against each other. Did you hear what Napoleon said in this interview on the TV channel Art of Dialogue? Matter of fact, shouts out to the Art of Dialogue for having Napoleon reveal what I always said, that the government is the unseen hand behind Tupac's murder. There is another guy who went off into the studies of Tupac Shakur, who went into the history of Tupac Shakur. Not only that, this person investigated the murder of Tupac Shakur, and he came back with the same conclusion that I had. Yes, he came back with the same conclusion. Yes, this investigator named John Potash is the author of a book, FBI War on Tupac Shakur. Shout outs to Machiavelli Media. Gab did a good job about getting John Potash interview. Check out this audio.
Of ethics for criminals.
Yo, YouTube, what up? It's your homie Gab, I'm in the building. And this is Machiavelli Media. Today, we're joined by a very special guest. This guy's an author. He's a producer. He's a director. He's a historian. Give it up for the one and only, Mr. John Potash. How you doing, sir?
Good. Good to be on with you, Gab.
John, let's get right into it. To me, Tupac Shakur was so much more than just a rapper. In my opinion, he was my generation's Malcolm X, Huey P. Newton, Martin Luther King, etc. Am I wrong in my assessment of who Tupac was or who he had the potential to become?
No, I agree that he was a leader, an activist leader, as well as a, top rapper and actor. He was just doing things behind the scenes and doing things in a more hidden way, so people didn't realize everything he was doing. So he was the group he was involved with, New African People's Organization, when he was in his early teens, chose just to be kind of underground, to be below the limelight. They were different than. They were made up of various former Black Panthers, but they decided to do things differently than the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, that his mother was involved with, who were more in the limelight. And because they were attacked, the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, the New African People's Organization, decided to do things more covertly. And so they were doing great activism, though, and Tupac was involved with them from his his childhood onwards. And then when he became a teenager, by the age of 17, he had been already involved in their group, the New African Panthers, and was elected national chairman of the New African Panthers at about 17 or 18 years old. So he was already a national black leader before he became a rapper, because they were active in 8 cities and they were trying to replicate the Black Panthers, just without making mistakes. And so by the time he started adding wealth and fame onto that black national leadership, that's when they, of course, first started targeting him. And we know some of the incidents, but some were the Oakland police arresting him supposedly for jaywalking, but smashing his head against the curb and choking him unconscious, where people died with those police methods. And then they had a situation where they did, there was a drive-by done, we talked about, on his limousine during a big event. And then after that, there was the Marin Fest, where people shot at him for no reason, and then police just watched without intervening until Tupac, crawled under a police car, and they were worried about their car getting smashed up by the mob that was created by this group of strangers, mostly strangers. And after that, we've got the situation where he was shot at by supposedly off-duty police officers in Atlanta, and so on. And so that's just some of the incidents that had him being targeted for his Black Panther leadership, for his black activist leadership. He ended up leaving the leadership of the Black Panther, New African Panthers, but he still was doing other activism on the side and behind the scenes. Like, for example, he had worked with his stepfather, Mutulu Shakur, to develop the Thug Life movement. And so as part of that, they were getting the Bloods and Crips to call peace truces between each other and turn on to activism. And that was a major threat to the powers that be, because it led loads of gangs, first through LA, then through all of California, and then across the country, to call peace truces, and many stopped actually dealing drugs too. And that took incredible amounts of money, many billions of dollars, out of the CIA traffickers' pockets and the oligarchs' pockets, who were heavily involved in drug shipments and drug trafficking for centuries, basically. And so that's why that was probably the biggest reason he was ultimately killed by U.S. intelligence, by the oligarchs, but by U.S. intelligence on behalf of the oligarchs, I meant to say. Yeah.
Right. So I'd like to interject. So, John, so the crazy part is a lot of fans hear Tupac say Thug Life, and they just think of the hate he gave Little Memphis, fuck everybody. Mm-hmm. But Thug Life was actually a code of ethics for gangbangers and guys that participate in street illegal activities. So him and Mutulu comes up with Thug Life. Now, let's stay on that for 1 second. And your findings, you wrote the book, The FBI War on Tupac Shakur. Mm-hmm. How detailed was the code of ethics for the whole Thug Life movement?
Yeah, well, I have a copy of it in my film, and so you can see it. It's very long. I believe I forget how many different lines of ethics are in there, but I believe it's anywhere from like 15 to 20 different things are in there. People can look it up and see what it's all about. But so basically, the people that didn't, so when he had the leaders of different Crips and Bloods and Crips gangs come and shake hands and call a peace truce in different neighborhoods, he would make them, have them sign the Code of Thug Life first, and to abide by these ways to stop, hurting innocent people in the neighborhoods, like don't deal drugs around schools or where kids are and things like that. to lessen any casualties of the drug dealing. But as I say, a number of gang members and whole gangs in general, stopped dealing drugs because they were inspired by this. And that's what happened with the Latin Kings. That turned into the Latin King and Queen Nation, as inspired by the Thug Life movement, Tupac's Thug Life movement with the Bloods and Crips. So it spread all the way across the country to New York and spread into the Latino community. And they were kind of inspired by the Young Lords, who were the Latino Black Panthers, who one in particular, Panama Alba, I talked to about this, and I talked to the head of the Latin Kings, King Tone, or Antonio Fernandez, and interviewed him about this, all that was happening. So this was an incredible movement that was just, really changing the country, and so that's why, Tupac was so much more than just a rapper and actor. He was an incredible national, international leader, you can really say, and that's why I show in my book how the same tactics and personnel, even at times, that were used against Tupac's Black Panther extended family leadership. His mother, Afeni Shakur, was one-time leader of the Harlem Black Panthers. His godfather, Geronimo Pratt, who changed his name to Geronimo Gijaga, who was one-time head of the Los Angeles Black Panthers, etc. Same tactics used against them, and some of the same people, as I say, like a guy named Richard Held, were targeted Tupac, and so that's what happened. And so people, this was part of something called the counterintelligence program in the 1960s. And when activists raided a FBI office and stole all the documents and spread them to various underground media, but also to the mainstream press, and it got out more and more. And so because it got out and because the Senate, the Congress started investigating, the FBI officially closed COINTELPRO, counterintelligence program, down. That was targeting leftists in general, but particularly brutally targeting black activists, such as Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, as you mentioned. And so even though they officially closed it down, an insider, a COINTELPRO agent named Wes Swearingen, wrote a book in 1995 called FBI Secrets. And in there he said that he knew his fellow agents who stayed in the FBI all that time told him that they're continuing to run COINTELPRO just under different names, at least up until 1995, when they were targeting Tupac. So
exactly. Man, it's just so deep. A lot of people don't want to admit how deep it is.
People, all you gotta do is follow step by step. Follow step by step. Like I said, I didn't know the in-depth knowledge that John Potage had on Tupac, but I figured it was a little bit more than some Orlando Anderson, Keefe D, or whoever pulled the trigger. I knew that these Negroes, uneducated Negroes, was sent by a Negro who was linked to the government. You feel what I'm saying? You heard what Napoleon said in the video that I showed you, the video clip that I showed you. You know what Napoleon was saying. If they really wanted to close this case, they could have had narrowed this case down to the government, because the government is not going to tell on itself. They could have nailed this case. They could have nailed this case and put this case in a coffin. This case is dead. We know what happened. It's always them boule niggas that always kill our people, working for those people. Yes, Tupac was killed by the government. You heard what Napoleon said. Tupac was under surveillance. People was at odds with Tupac. Dolores Tucker, Pat Buchanan, Bill Clinton. Everybody was at war with Tupac. The police ain't forgot that they got shot by Tupac. What did Napoleon say? What did Napoleon say? Tupac even said the same thing, that the police is a gang. They one big gang. That's why when one of those pigs die, they come from all over and support each other. And that's why I tell you, brothers and sisters, when they secretly kill one of us and found guilty or whatever, and they may go to jail, they get treated different. People put money on the commissaries, take care of their family. It's a brotherhood that never stops. It's deep. But us as a people, we are divided. We don't stick together like they do. So, Quad Studio, the female is what I know, that it was a setup. The clip I just showed you, the video clip I just showed you on John Potage, audio clip, you heard it, and you know that 90% of what he's saying is the truth. Now, let's get to Keefe D. They, law enforcement, FBI, search warrant July 18, 2023. They found laptops. They want the laptops. They want the iPhones, crack iPhones, other electronic devices. And they found some bullets, same kind of bullets that unfortunately took out one of the greatest rappers ever done it, Tupac Shakur. You know, my favorite rapper. Yeah, they took him out. Yeah. 40 caliber bullets. This is all hogwash. Because Greg Kading, the detective from LA in 1998, made a proffer agreement with Keefe D, who supposedly have been caught by law enforcement with $2 million worth of drugs. And to get himself out of it, he revealed that he was in the car in September of 1996, when Tupac, the revolutionary, was killed. Why all of a sudden there's a search warrant for one? Either the machine is flipping on P. Diddy, P. Shitty, or Keefe D is about to be silenced because he made an agreement with the feds not to talk about this. But he's on Vlad TV. He's on Order Dialogue. Shout out to Order Dialogue. Shout out to Vlad TV. I know a lot of people don't like Vlad. I don't like Vlad, but shout out to Vlad TV for showing us an ignorant dude such as Keefe D, who put his own foot in his mouth. Gangsters don't talk. Gangsters don't tell on themselves. But you know, time have changed. People want fame. No one knew who Keefe D was until he took that hit from Puffer. And Puffer got it from the hierarchy people. See, when they call people like Jesse Jackson on the phone, Boulay, King gotta go. By the way, this case reminds me of the Nation of Islam case, where the Nation of Islam was infiltrated by DEA agents who ultimately caused the rift and breakage from Malcolm and his teacher, Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They finally got that wedge. They finally broke them apart. But the government was smart to discredit the Nation of Islam because it was a threat. Anybody preach black economics and black self-awareness in America is a threat. This is why they don't want us to have reparations. Organized black people having their own, they always tear it down. Remember Black Wall Street in the 20s? Yeah. When brothers and sisters was running their own network, their own economy, big money. They don't want to see us have nothing. You feel me? But it reminds me when the FBI, the newly discovered evidence shows that the FBI and New York City Police worked together to kill Malcolm X. And they put it on Farrakhan, and nobody never apologized to Farrakhan. There's a new discovery evidence. Benjamin Crump is the attorney for the Shabazz family. Yes, the New York City Police were a black man named Ray Wood, who on his deathbed, who died of cancer. Before he died, he told the truth that he was the one who orchestrated a plot to blow up the Statue of Liberty or something to that measure, some type of American monument, and he tricked Malcolm X security team at the ballroom, had them arrested like a week before Malcolm to speak. And that's why it was so easy for them to come up there and kill Malcolm. Two of the Nation of Islam members wasn't even present at the ballroom. They was exonerated. So that pulls Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad from that murder. But we have not, as a people, admitted that we have been wrong to blame Farrakhan when it was the white man all the time. When it was J. Edgar Hoover who says there will be no Messiah amongst black people. There will be no black Messiah that will rise up amongst black people. This reminds me of what it was with this Tupac case, because the fucking FBI was inside of death row. Did you know who Kevin Hackey is? Kevin Hackey was an FBI agent, DEA agent. That's the government. We can't forget that Tupac as a Panther baby was a Panther baby. Now, I remember Deputy Brennan from Las Angeles, I mean. The weapon that was found at a Crip gang, Southside Crip gang members' girl's house. This Crip is affiliated with Keefe D, Orlando Anderson. They all hung out. They checked this gun, ballistics, and it came back positive. Yes, the weapon was found. And the ballistic testings came back as a match. Federal prosecutors halted the process of this gun being transferred to Las Vegas. Somehow they tested the gun again and it wasn't a match. It was a match, but now it's a match and the gun
subsequently came up missing. So Napoleon, right, if they wanted to solve this murder, they could have been solved this murder. It seems like people are dying close to this murder, this assassination. Yeah. This reminds me of what happened with Malcolm X. It reminds me of what happened with our friend Shakur. The 21 Panthers. The 21 Panthers. She was part of the 21 Panthers. That same cop, Raymond Woods, that was on his deathbed who died from cancer, the same tactic that was used against Tupac's mother. 21 Panthers that were supposed to blow up an American monument, and she defended herself and got everybody off while she was pregnant with Tupac in New York. So she's like that story in the Bible, Mary, and the three wise men saw the star in the universe and knew a savior was going to be born. So the day that Tupac was born, he had an FBI file. This is how deep it is with white people who run this world, who don't want to see black people rise. They will follow us and kill us if we try to unite our people. And this is why Pac was killed. Keefe D. They may silence him, or the machine is flipping on P. Diddy. I don't think the machine is flipping on P. Diddy. I think Keefe D will be silenced because he's running his mouth. He's opening up a can of worms that's been sealed. He's opening up wounds. He's opening up wounds. Yes. Now, they said the prosecutor's halted is transferred, the gun transferred back to Las Vegas. Police who oversaw Tupac killed that night know who killed Tupac. They was there. They was there. There's some deep things going down here, man. Detective, Brennan, Detective Greg Kading, he went out his way to clear the LAPD in the murder of Big and Small. Greg Kading alleged that Keefe D was going to be paid $1 million to assassinate Tupac. But the man, Von Zip, one of Puffy's associates, kept the money. Puffy supposedly gave him the funds, and he kept the revenue. So no one got paid. I told y'all the government had their hand in this. This is part 2. We got a part 3 to this video. I stand on what I stand on. Peace of Black Power.
Artificial